Hi, this is part one, potentially, of how to travel with friends.
This is Becca Murray.
And I'm Carly.
I get asked all the time about traveling with friends because I travel with friends a lot.
Right.
And the person at the helm of every single one of those trips
is my bossy
Carly.
friend. Hi.
So I thought that we would ask Carly some questions about how she pulls this off.
Yes.
Because we have traveled together to
Colorado,
Joshua Tree,
Salem, Massachusetts,
the Catskills.
Were you in New York City before that too?
No.
Okay. Catskills.
She's done trips that I also was not on, but we are about to
go to
New York.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Oof.
That's where we were when COVID hit.
Long story.
Nicaragua. And Mexico was my most recent trip to Merida and Mexico City.
Yeah. We've been around the block.
We have. How did you start traveling with friends? Like, what was your impetus to start planning these things?
Great question.
With friends?
Great question. So, the first part of my career was all planning trips around feminism, and it was in New York City, always a week long. It was kind of a mini conference. I realized through my work that when you have a common, either a common goal, a common project for the trip, a common reason for going on a trip, that everything kind of coalesces a little bit better. Instead of just saying I love all my friends, let's go on a trip. It really has to have more of a thoughtful focus before you just jump in, and that's what helps everyone get along.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to questions that people have asked because I did a little AMA on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And so we'll actually be able to dive into people's questions. But I do think that one of the things that people are always intrigued by when I talk about it is that A, we do have such a large group of people going.
Yes.
B, you're an extrovert. I am a severe introvert. So I feel like that is also something that we can throw a lot in here on how you get personal time and make sure that there's downtime and you're not on all the time and it's not just go, 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 and how you feel okay opting out of things.
Right. I'm not familiar with downtime, whatever that is, but I've heard it's important. So I try to make sure that we can fit that in. The cool thing about traveling with your friends is you get to create this little temporary utopia.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a summer camp almost.
It
is. The time is telescoped a little, and one day feels like a month, and you leave it feeling like you're just spend time with family.
Yeah.
But it's
I was such a summer camp kid.
Me too.
That's so real. That is such a good analogy.
Shout out to the summer camp kids.
Do you have other things you want to say before I ask you some questions?
No.
So to start, how far in advance do y'all start planning?
Great question. It depends on how long the trip is and how far away it is, how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be to get there. But usually a year to year and a half.
How do you align on locations and dates?
Another great question. One of our guiding principles, I think, of our group is that the place that we're staying has to be beautiful. It has to look really good. It doesn't have to be luxurious necessarily, but it has to be beautiful. So honestly, I just explore websites, Airbnb, Vrbo, whatever, and I try to find a place that we could stay that looks really cool, and then explore around that place. And the other thing that's special about our group is that we like to do places that we could be just us.
Mm-hmm.
So other groups might want to stay at a smaller hotel where there's more amenities, or a big hotel where there's more amenities, or you can use points or whatever. But we're we want to stay in a place that's only our group. Once I found 1 to 3 places that look amazing, I'll reach out, make sure you check on availability. Mm-hmm. Usually when you're planning a year and a half out, places have pretty good availability. Since we're mostly photographers, we usually go Sunday to Friday, or Sunday to Thursday, or Monday to Friday, since we're mostly working on Saturdays. So I look at kind of those chunks. I feel like we've really perfected the length of time.
Yeah.
I just, you kind of find out what the availability is like, and then what I do, we have a group, at this point there's probably 30 to 40 people who have been on a trip in this group.
People are how do you meet 30 to 40 people who want to travel together? Carly is the most extroverted person
you
will ever meet.
Yeah. That's how.
Someone is going to comment on this video and be like, oh my God, Carly?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When we went to Nicaragua, there were 17?
Yeah.
Of us, and I even before that trip was oh, that's so many people. And it was so good. It was so good because it was enough people that everyone could break out, like you kind of have to break out into smaller groups at that point, right? But you could break out into smaller groups that still felt like substantial groups. And if you were an introvert and you needed time alone, you could disappear without it feeling like an absence in a way that like you just can't do if you are in a smaller group of people.
Yeah.
And so like it was a really good number. And I think when I posted about that, a lot of people were like,
oh my God.
First of all, that's so many people. It's like, well, how do you even know 17 people who want to travel? And I was like,
right.
The answer to that is Carly.
Knowing an extrovert. Knowing someone who's aggressive with friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because by contrast, the Mexico trip was just 10 people. And the fewer people that you have, the more one-on-one time or small group time you're having with each person. And so you run the risk of people kind of getting like tired of each other or needing a little bit more space.
Or
than
it
you
just
would with 17. And it was obvious if someone was not there.
If someone was not there. Yeah, I think in a smaller group, everyone is a larger percentage of the group. So
exactly.
Everyone's personality is a larger percentage of the group.
Exactly.
So anybody that's missing or anybody that's outsized on a certain day, like just takes up more.
Yeah. And it's also the function of the length of time.
Yes.
That's the other thing. So like if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I only know 4 people who would want to go on a trip. I only know 3 people. Start with a short trip.
Yes.
And then see how that goes and kind of like build from there. Instead of going on a long ass trip as your first, a week long trip as your first trip with these people, because it's a lot of interaction.
Yeah. What were you gonna say about
but the 17 people? One piece of like building this group that you want to travel with is considering people who are kind of on your periphery or your friends' periphery, who you think you would vibe with, you've maybe talked to once or twice, but you're not super close with, trying to kind of like foster those relationships and invite people like that on a trip to get to know them better and like just consider them a possibility, I guess is what I would say. Instead of like, don't look at it as like, well, my best friends are, these 3 people and I can only really travel with them. Like that's not necessarily true. There might be people who are further out in your community who would be a good fit. You were that person.
I was that person. Yes, I was invited by somebody who I had only met one time, but she was like, I think you would get along. Like we got along for the 3 days that we knew each other.
Right.
And I think that you would get along with this group of people. And I was like, okay, I'll try it.
When I'm thinking about planning a new trip, right, I'm like, okay, I've got the place, I've got the lodging, I've got the city, and then I'm thinking about like, who from our past trips do I really want to be there? Say we're going to Trinidad. So I went to Trinidad with a friend of mine who's from Trinidad. I would put her on the top of my list for Trinidad. She's never been on any of these group trips, but I love traveling with her. So I would like kind of put her in group A, even though she hasn't been in any other trip. She's not always going to be in group A, but based on like the context of the trip, then she kind of moves up. Our friend Alex, she's pregnant right now. So if I want to do a trip in October, Alex is on the bottom of the list. I don't care about what she's doing because
she's not going to come anyway.
She's not coming anyway, or whatever. Or someone who maybe just went to Trinidad, like they're not going to want to go back, so they can be on the bottom. Or there's like a lot of, it is like a prioritization list, but it's not a static one that's like, these are the people I like the most. It's really about like concocting kind of this like ideal group. I'm always trying to think about like the group dynamics. Just because you're friends with someone in real life or you see them all the time doesn't mean they're going to be a good travel friend. I am an aggressive extrovert, as we've been talking about, and you're an introvert, and I would say it's a pretty good mix maybe in our group, but I always try to think about like, are there enough new people and enough people who know each other so that it's balanced, so that it's not just like a big clique and then 2 people who are new.
The other part that is a pretty hard a firm rule, no partners and no kids.
Yeah, that is the big rule.
If we are talking specifically about prioritizing traveling with your friends started doing this in my mid-30s, and I'm now in my early 40s.
Yes.
And you started doing this in your 20s.
Yeah. And now I'm almost 40.
And married with a kid, no kids, unpartnered. We are all in different parts of our lives and have different responsibilities and different priorities and things in our daily life, but prioritize this coming together and finding people who are willing and able to prioritize that, because there are people who are willing but unable, and there are people who are able but unwilling.
Yes. So true.
And finding those people is really like part of it. And which is why you kind of have to cast a wide net.
Yes. And respecting your friends moving from group to group, because sometimes you can, sometimes it's a good time, and sometimes when a trip comes around you're 8 months pregnant and you can't do it or whatever. But that is kind of like the base of all of this, the underpinning of all of it is you have to have people in your life who want to prioritize traveling with their friends and not with their partners or with their kids. Yeah. And that's a big, it's a big ask.
There's a lot of questions about how you budget or how you deal with people having different budgets when planning a trip. And I feel like part of that is managed through the casting a wide net and letting people self-select if they are interested in doing a trip.
Yes.
And then I think there are logistical parts of that too, of like communicating what's covered and not.
Yes.
And how people split things.
Yeah. We have to go over all of that stuff correct.
I don't know. We don't have to do all of it.
I know. But are you ready for a 35-minute video about budgeting? I think the first disclaimer is like, obviously traveling with your friends, especially, is a luxury experience. It takes an insane amount of privilege to be able to do it. Especially if you have children, you have to make sure that someone is there to take care of your kid. If you have pets, you have to deal with all that. Like, I know that we live in like a political dystopia currently. So like, I just want to put that out there that like when we say prioritizing this, we do mean giving other things up.
Yes.
Like, definitely.
Yes.
And that's just, and it means that we have a little bit extra, which is something that's very fortunate for us. I think the number one like top line thing I would say is you have to be able to communicate well with your friends about money. And like, that's weird. Some people really struggle with that, I think. But being like upfront and communicative with them, like there's no substitute, there's no shortcut. You have to be like, hey, this is how much this trip is looking to cost. Ballpark. And this is what's included.
And this is what's included, and this is the deadline to pay for this thing.
Right.
This is what you have to book on your own. This is what is booked when you Venmo me this by this date. If you do not Venmo me this by this date.
Right. We don't have a spot for you.
You are not.
Sorry. Yes. And like, we're just kind of, everyone has to be an adult.
Yes.
And they have to look at their own budget and decide if that's what they want to do. So that's our model. That's my model, is that I'm like, this is where I want to go. These are the dates. I send everyone I pre-check some people, and then I send out a blast and I say, if you want to go, Venmo me this much, save your spot, whatever. This is going to be the payment schedule, and decide if you want to go or not. But I think there's definitely a reverse way to do it, where you gather your people, you say, this is kind of the vibe we're going for, this is the budget I'm trying to stay in, or what can you guys manage, and kind of work from there. I think that's another like really legitimate way. You just have to be comfortable saying to your friends, can you pay however much? Can you pay $500? Can you pay $2,000? Whatever it is. And some people have a hard time with that.
And then on the trip itself, because it is very important to recognize, especially it can feel like, oh, I'm paying so much money for this thing up front. I'm paying for the lodging and I'm paying for my flights and all of this. And then you get there and you're like, oh, I still have to spend money. I still have to do all the things. And so I think that making sure people are staying on the same page, and this is on us as the individuals who go on the trip,
and the introverts,
willing and able to say no if something is outside of your capacity.
Yes.
Whether that is financially, whether that is energetically, emotionally, whatever it is, you have to be willing and able to say no, rather than saying yes and then overextending yourself and then holding on to some sort of resentment that bleeds into the rest of the group.
Dang. That just gave me goosebumps. Because it's like such a powerful thing to be able to say no. I feel like it's something that I have a lot of experience in and I'm comfortable with, but I know that it's like a huge thing for some people, especially to their friends.
Totally.
When everyone's going to have fun.
Try to like have a good time and like, so I think that putting that out there, and then I think we do have some tools which, you know, we don't have to go like in depth on, but there are tools that exist for like splitting up trips and stuff, which I think really do make it very easy in terms of everyone has a different budget. Everyone will have planned for this in a different way. And I don't think are ever the people who are like, we all went to lunch, we're going to split this evenly.
Yeah.
We're never just splitting it down the middle, which in my daily life,
yes,
I like to be that person. On a vacation, it is very different when people drink or people don't drink, when people get dessert or don't get dessert. Like, whatever if people are splitting meals or want an entree all to themselves, it's a very different total at the end, which can really impact your bottom line on the trip and your enjoyment on the trip overall. So having those tools in place where somebody can input the receipt, split it up, and immediately have everybody take care of their portions is so important. And having those systems in place so everybody knows what they are and knows how to deal with them is really good.
And it helps make those like more expensive like side quests or whatever more accessible to people.
Yes.
Because then we can have somebody we went to a Michelin star place when we were in Mexico City.
Yes.
And like someone could come to that and like not order the prefix or not order the wine pairing, and then they can still stay within their budget, but they're still part of it. And that's like, I feel like the priority is like making sure everybody who wants to can access it in some way. We try to like make sure that those like extracurriculars or whatever extra things are accessible, and people can say no if they need to.
Yeah.
It's really important to be able to do that.
So important. The ability to like say no and know what your boundaries are. It's got to be like the most important part of traveling with friends.
Yes, and for me as the extrovert who never needs alone time, I am not exaggerating. Like, I literally hate alone time. It's my priority to make sure that the trip environment is one where you feel comfortable opting out.
Yeah.
Because my goal is for people to be able to bring their whole selves. And if you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm being like pushed along and I have to do all this stuff, and oh my God, everyone's going to be so disappointed if I don't go to like karaoke or whatever it is, that's not helping you be your full self.
Well, and I will say, and I don't know, maybe this is too much. For a little insight, I suppose, like, the beginning of this year was really fucking hard for me. Like, between the fires and the election and, like, just, like, everything. Like, I was in a really, really deep, dark place, and I did not know if I wanted to go to Mexico, even though we've been planning this for so long.
And it had been rescheduled once.
And I, like, was really looking at it, and I was like, am I energetically available to go on a trip? I don't want to be a downer, and I also don't want to be the energy suck in the room. And I was really afraid that I was going to be the energy suck. And so I picked up the phone and I called Carly, and I was like, here are my fears. And instead of just like stewing at home and then canceling because I was afraid of doing that, I picked up the phone and said, hey, this is what I'm afraid of. And she said, we're not there to make you do anything. You can sit in the place the whole time if you want to. We just want you there.
Yeah.
And if you're able to come, and now I'm gonna cry. Like, if you're like, and
we want your whole self.
We want your whole self, and we want you to be available for whatever you're available for. So like, if you want to come and just like
literally sit
just
there,
be there, like
lounge
however you can do it, we'll take it. But also, if you can't, I get it.
I love you. I'm so glad. Okay.
Somebody asks, as the non-planner of the group who still wants to pull my weight, that's me, what's most helpful?
For in the planning stage, what's most helpful is responding to emails promptly.
Responding to emails and paying things when you say you're going to pay them.
Yes. Not making me chase you down.
Yes.
On the trip, I feel like, for me, the biggest way that people on the trip can show me that they care without having to say that they care is not asking me what we're doing next.
Taking a photo of the itinerary and having it on your phone so you can ask yourself questions.
Yes.
And or answer questions.
Yes.
Like, butt in and answer questions when other people are asking them.
Yes, because that is my biggest pet peeve on these trips, is when I literally send you a multi-page itinerary of what we're doing every day, and someone's like, oh, good morning. Hey, Carly, what are we doing today? And I'm like, I will punt you. Just go look at your email.
And be places on time.
Yes. I love all of my friends. I just love some of them less when they ask me what we're doing.
I've been that person, but
we've all been that
person. How much do you plan and how much do you leave up to the moment?
Ooh, I mean, I try to leave room for spontaneity. You want to kind of have both, but the structure is really helpful to kind of like get the day going, have a focus, like kind of move things along. So it's never, our trip is never everyone sitting around going, what do you guys want to do now? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? No, that's my nightmare.
Yes.
It's always like, we're doing this, we're going to go here. Or maybe it's like, we're going to take a walk around the neighborhood and shop. So it's like that level of structure. We have maybe some recommended shops, but we can bop into other shops, like that kind of thing.
And then there are times where like we were in Mexico, we were supposed to go out to a certain place for dinner, and half the people were like, I think I just want to stay in, I don't really want to go out. And so then the people who were going out were like, well, do we want to go out or do we want to just order in? And everybody's like, I'll just order in. And then everybody who's staying in was like, oh yeah, let's just order in. So everyone just pivoted and we canceled the reservation.
Yeah. And that stuff happens. And like as a planner, I think it's important to make space for that and not be too married to things. That said, there are some things where it would have been a pain in the ass to cancel.
Totally.
Like in Nicaragua, if you're like, we don't feel like seeing a volcano. Well, we already booked the transportation and the tickets. So like we're going to see the fucking volcano. But yeah, and then we all watched Baby Girl. We canceled our reservation, we ordered in, and we set up the TV room, the cinema,
as they called it,
and then we watched Baby Girl. It was amazing.
In Nicaragua, we went to the volcano, and then we got hag tattoos.
Right, so that was another thing where we were like, hey, we had to ask the host, like, where can we get tattoos? Like, 10 people.
Yeah.
And they hooked us up.
And he hooked us up, and then he was like, it's gonna cost $15.
Yeah, it was something so
and
low.
We're like,
yeah.
Do I want to get a tattoo
that
costs $15? We went in and he literally like picked up the little thing and he like ripped it open in front of me. Like he was like in front of my eyes to show me that like everything was like clean.
Yeah, that room was like a closet.
So cheap, but we all
we were kind of like, can we pay more?
Yeah. He was like, no, he's the best. Like he's actually yeah. And he had a lot of artwork on his walls. He's been doing it for a really long time.
So, yeah.
He was great. Well, this person says Carly is best. I agree.
So nice.
Somebody asked for our Mexico itinerary, which I feel like I could put it out there. So much of what I showed, I think they're basing that on my stories that I shared, which is a lot of the wandering part, which is... oh, we're going to grab coffee. Oh, we've got like this many hours to shop and we just wander. And one of my favorite things about sort of just walking around a space is like stopping to look at the buildings and the cars and the signs and like all of the things that make up a place. And Merida was just so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's so picturesque. It's so cute. Highly recommend. I don't know if this is a question, but like I am organizing the trip, so I'm kind of like the de facto leader, but also I want people to like take responsibility
but she's also, like,
for themselves, and I'm trying to be on a trip.
Yeah, she's also just trying to take a trip with her friends. So I feel like that is the part to recognize too. It's like if you have a group of people who want to travel together and none of you want to plan, there are options for that. There are travel agents, there are group travel companies, there are ways to do that. The only way that this works is if you have someone who wants to step into that role.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I think what is kind of fun about the way that we travel together is it does have that like group travel vibe where you're getting to know people and seeing people that you know, but not in the way that like you're being thrown in with complete strangers and you don't know if they're going to be fucking Trumpy.
Right. And they're vetted. That's what I was going to say. They're vetted. We haven't told them how we're sometimes stoners about it.
Well,
we don't need to.
Well, I think that is an interesting thing because I'm not.
Sure.
I'm the resident wine drinker of the group.
I'm like queen of wine.
Yeah, I'm
wine
like,
queen.
I'm gonna find the liquor store and the natural wine shop, and I'm gonna buy myself a bottle of tequila and a bottle of wine, and I know that there's gonna be like me and one, maybe two other people. Are gonna drink that.
Right.
And everybody else is gonna go find the dispensary and be chowing down on gummies.
Yep.
Knowing what people's
their
preferences are.
And like what level of like party do people want to get
Absolutely. To? Because I do want to drink wine, I don't want to go to the club.
Yeah. I want to have a gummy and I want to eat amazing food.
Yes.
Like really good food, including dessert.
Yes.
And like if it's people who are kind of more like, I don't really care about the food, but I want to go someplace that's like has a beautiful view, or I can go clubbing or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just different. I don't know.
Yeah, just knowing what your vibes and your priorities
what you want out of your trip.
The host in Merida said that we all seemed like family.
Yeah, she was like, you're all sisters.
And I was like, that's so the vibe. There is an element of, oh my god, we just want to like cuddle and like love on each other. And then there's also an element of like, don't fucking talk to me right now. Like, I just, like, I need to go lay down. I need some water. Like,
right, exactly. You have to have that level of like comfort. It's just, it's a lot of like interpersonal dynamics.
So it's really easy to do. Super simple. Everybody should do it.
Yeah. I mean, all of this stuff is why, in my opinion, like bachelorette parties can be so hard, because you're just inviting all of your bridesmaids. And the bridesmaids are bridesmaids because they love you and they're going to stand with you on your wedding day and da-da-da. They're not necessarily friends with each other.
Yes.
And they're not necessarily good at traveling together or themselves.
Can I tell a really quick story to cap this? I was in New Orleans. It was for a friend's wedding, and I was with one of my best friends and my former partner, and we'd been like out all day, and there were like other friends who had flown in, and we were supposed to be like meeting them, but we had been walking around all day, and I was super sweaty, and I wanted to go back to the hotel and change. And we're like in an Uber going back in the direction of the hotel, and I was like, I want to go to the hotel, and my former partner was like, I want to go to the bar and then meet them. And then one of our best friends was sitting in the Uber and was like, hey, so like I'm actually like, Becca, do you want company? Because I'm happy to go back to the hotel with you and change with you if you want company, but also like I don't need to change and I'm staying in a different hotel, so like no reason. I can also go with him if we can just go to the bar. And I was like, I'll take the 5 minutes alone if you guys want to go to the bar, and I'll just meet you there. And she was like, okay, great, cool. And the Uber driver literally turned around and went, oh my god, you guys are so adult.
Oh my god!
And I was like,
I love it.
You are absolutely used to having an entire car full of drunk people who don't know how to communicate with each other.
Otherwise known as
bachelorette parties. But I was like, oh, it's so funny to me that this is notable. Just people communicating what they need and where they want to go. Yeah. And like your ability to do that is going to make or break a trip like that.
100%.
So learning to do that in your daily life is only going to serve you if you want to be able to travel with your friends, which is a thing you should do because it's awesome.
Because it's really fun. We love it.
And also we didn't... Carly got nails just like mine.
Nail check. Thanks, Susie.
Thanks, Susie.
I have to tell you something.
Yes.
I paid for your nails.
Did Susie hug you?
Yeah, of course.
She did.
And then she was like, why'd you make me keep it a secret? It was so hard.
Now I had to go so I could cry.
Oh.
Okay, tune in next time.
Tune in next time for Becca's Buds featuring Carly. We'll do it in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do Becca's Buds when we're in New York next month.
Like and subscribe.
And comment.
And share.
And share. If there's someone you want to travel with, send this to them. That's a good one.
If they don't watch it,
then just say fuck them. Just
then maybe
dismiss them from your life. Goodbye.
They're not your travel friend.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.